The meeting for Akron City Council will come to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Roll call. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, will you please stand as we are led in prayer by Pastor Raynell Lawson from the Burning Bush Church. Immediately following our prayer, we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance. Going to ask if Councilman Milkovich could do that for us.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for this day. This is the day that you have made, and we are here rejoicing, and we are glad in it. We asked, oh God, that you would just come into this meeting on tonight, this city council, this Monday evening. We ask that you would breathe upon everything that is said and done on today, every topic, every issue, everything that's on the agenda on today as we have conversation and how making decisions. We pray, oh God, that your spirit would lead us and guide us. We ask that you would bless every servant leader here on today. We ask that you would just give them the strength, the courage, and the boldness to make decisions that will be fitting for our city, to make this a safe place, make this a place that everyone would want to enjoy and love, this great city of Akron. We ask that you would just bless every person that is here under the sound of my voice. We'll give you all the glory, the honor, and the praise. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yo.
Clerk will read the minutes from our previously held meeting.
Minutes from the meeting September 17, 2018. Council convened in regular session at 7 p.m. with President Somerville in the chair. All members were present except Amobian, later excused. Minutes of a previous regular meeting were approved. Reading of petitions and communications. Passage of the consent agenda. Report of standing and special committees. Passage and referral of new ordinances and resolution. Representation from various departments and divisions. Public speaking period. No further business on a motion by Fusco. Council adjourned at 8:45 p.m. to reconvene in regular session on September 24, 2018, or special call.
Any corrections or additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Letters, petitions, and communications.
Correspondence from Jesse Bailey regarding 15 Broad Street, Second Chance Village.
File.
Correspondence from Tom Rizzo regarding Mr. Pantry.
File.
Correspondence from an anonymous sender regarding the Drive 25 signs on Ridgewood Road.
File.
Notice of a transfer of D1 liquor permit to Tumshiba, I can't say that one, that's French, LLC, doing business as the Napoli Kitchen at 399 and 401 East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue.
A special attention, Councilman Kilby.
Notice of a hearing regarding a renewal application of the Grant Street Tavern LLC, doing business as the Riviera Lounge at 627 Arlington.
Special attention, Councilman Samples.
Notice of a hearing regarding the renewal application of CGC Entertainment, 1890 South Arlington Street.
Special attention, Councilman Hoke.
Notice of a hearing regarding a renewal application of the Grant Street Tavern LLC, 1307 Grant Street.
Special attention, Councilman Kamer.
Notice of a hearing regarding the renewal application of the Boho Corporation, doing business as a 7-Eleven store, number 56645 at 460 West Market Street.
Special attention, Councilman Swirsky.
Summary of income tax receipts through the end of August 2018.
File.
Okay.
You have before you the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
We'll now move into our old business, rules. Councilman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. We would like time, please. The committee would like time.
Time will be granted. On tonight, we do have 3 public hearings. I'm going to ask if there's anyone here in the audience that is here to speak on any of those 3 public hearings. If you'll please stand now at this time so that you can be sworn in by our law department.
If you plan on testifying tonight, please stand and raise your right hand.
And this is not to be confused with public comment period, Mr. Hargrove.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay. Public hearing number 1, legal notice. Notice is hereby given and a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, September 24, 2018, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct an oversized garage at 369 East Catawba Avenue.
Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Madam President. Walter Roberts is requesting permission to construct a 30 by 20 foot detached garage on the property. The garage is to be situated on the north side of the property. It would be of wood frame construction colored with white vinyl siding with gray shingles on a gabled roof to match the house. It will have gutters and downspouts. The garage would not be out of character for the neighborhood. The petitioner stated that the garage would only be used for residential purposes, for storing vehicles, tools, lawn care, and other personal equipment. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to the conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here in the audience to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak against? Anyone here to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close this public hearing. Councilwoman Amobian.
I'd like to poll my committee for a favorable report, and we ask for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Mr. Kamer? Mr. Neal? Mr. Swirsky?
Aye.
The vote of the committee is to pass this with a favorable report, and Mr. Kamer had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Roberts, and any issues I think they discussed, and he's comfortable with it.
Okay. Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Okay. Public hearing number 2. Notice hereby given a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, September 24th, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance changing the name of First Merit Circle to Huntington Circle.
Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Huntington Bank desires a name change to reflect their ownership and clarify mail delivery. The planning staff recognizes the circumstances due to the change in ownership and is in agreement that the street name should be changed from First Merit Circle to Huntington Circle. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak against? Anyone here to speak against this ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, we will close this public hearing. Councilman Amobian.
Again, I'd like to poll the committee for a favorable report. Mr. Kamer? Aye. Mr. Neal? Aye. Mr. Swirsky?
Aye.
and ask for suspension of the rules.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Any further comment, Councilman Mobian?
There's really no other business impacted by this change, so the committee was comfortable with passing it.
Okay, thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Aye. Okay. Third legal notice tonight. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, September 24th, 2018, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a medical marijuana dispensary at 737 East North Street.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Bloom Medicinals proposes to renovate the 21,150 square foot, one-story brick building to dispense medical marijuana. The aging building's footprint will be reduced to 3,506 square feet. This reduction will allow for a 7-space employee parking area to be situated at the rear, along with a 10-space parking area to go in front. The interior arrangement of the floor space will be renovated to allow the patients to be processed securely. All products will be stored in a highly secured vault with no more than a 30-day supply on site. Additional security measures will include card access control doors, panic alarm devices, and interior motion activated sensors. Petitioners state they will create at least 8 to 10 full-time, part-time jobs that would generate an estimated annual payroll of $450,000 a year. The proposed medical marijuana dispensary was located near the intersection of East North Street and North Arlington Street. This location is in close proximity to State Route 8 and SUMA Akron City Hospital. Since the dispensary is not open to the general public, the daily traffic from registered patients and caregivers will be minimal. Proposed renovations will be a significant improvement over current conditions. Any applicant for a medical marijuana dispensary site license must satisfy numerous and rigorous state of Ohio requirements, and the petitioner was awarded such a license in June of 2018. Both Planning Commission and planning staff recommend approval subject to the conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in favor of this ordinance? And we're just going to ask if you'll please give us your name and your address.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Stephen Funk of Retzel and Andrus on behalf of 127OH LLC, which is the petitioner here. I work at Retzel and Andrus, 222 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio. We did present at the Planning Committee meeting. I'm not going to go over and repeat at length what we presented then. I just wanted to say that a couple of things. One is that our petitioners were one of only 2 companies in the entire state who were awarded the maximum of 5 licenses. And that really goes to their track record. They've owned medical marijuana dispensaries in Illinois and Maryland, and therefore scored very highly in a very competitive process for the state of Ohio. This proposed location we view as not being terribly controversial. It's located in a district that this council has already determined would be conditionally permitted. The only exceptions to that would be residential zoning district, which this isn't. We have gotten a favorable recommendation both from the staff as well as from the Planning Commission, and so we're just asking for your approval tonight. Now, I know at the Planning Committee meeting, we did have a couple of property owners who own property nearby that were expressed concerns. We did take the time after that committee meeting to meet with them, and hopefully what we've done is opened up the lines of communication. Because our goal here is if there are any problems, which we don't anticipate that there will be any problems, this is a highly regulated industry and as we said before, a track record of success with our client. But we'd like to solve problems. So if there's anything that comes up, we've asked them to contact us immediately so that we can address it. So we do ask for your approval tonight, and we thank you for your time. And we're here to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here in the audience to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in the audience to speak against this ordinance? Anyone here in the audience to speak against this ordinance?
Madam President.
And Ms. Smith, before you start, we're just going to have you just to be sworn in by our law department real quick, okay?
Okay.
Could you raise your right hand, please, ma'am? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Madam President, I'm here not so much to say that I'm against the ordinance, but to share some information which I think our council people should understand about the impact of marijuana in the state of Colorado. And I'm here basically as an Ohio Certified Prevention Specialist Assistant, and I've been doing research on this issue for the last 4 years, looking at how Colorado moved from medical to recreational. And I'm here today to speak on behalf of our children. When we look at the reports coming out of OSAM, you know, we're talking about our kids are starting to use marijuana at age 10 and 13. And all this information you'll be able to find on the Rocky Mountain HIDA, High Intensity Drug Trafficking Agency report. I can give you the website for that. But I'm asking because we are the leaders, and our children see us saying that it's okay. And we know in prevention that when perception of harm goes down, use goes up. And we're seeing that in Summit County. You can look at the ADM Board's Youth Risk Behavior Survey from 2013, and it's on an increase. When I did a study before, 90% of the kids going into juvenile detention were going in treatment for marijuana. So I'm asking you, as you make these policies, that you would consider what's going to happen with we're talking about the cost benefit. I think I saw like $50,000 or something for sidewalks. But for every dollar that you receive, you're going to spend out $10 for social issues. So I'm asking you to really research this issue and have an educated, informed. Go to Colorado and the Rocky Mountain HIDA report and pull out those statistics of increased car accidents, children going to emergency rooms because you have the edibles laying around for kids to put their hands on. So really consider what this will mean for the city of Akron. And also in the state of Colorado, downtown Denver, they're having issues with having conventions there because nobody wants to come there and smell marijuana. Now that it's recreational, it's all over the place. So just consider what's going to happen when you guys authorize this ordinance to happen for the city of Akron. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in the audience to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close this public hearing. Councilwoman Amobian.
I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Mr. Kamer? Aye. Mr. Neal? Aye. Mr. Swirsky?
Aye.
The only comments I'd like to make, and I thank Mrs. Smith for coming down this evening, but one of the things we have heard since we got involved in this is that Ohio's project, the initiative, is highly regulated, and it is not, based on everything I've heard, it is not the form of smoking. It's edible and some other ways of generating this, and it's supposed to cover those 21 diseases that they've listed only. We have not gotten to the point where we are even considering recreational use of marijuana. In addition to that, if you look at the ordinance tonight, there are like 9 conditions that we have identified that we're asking the petitioners to pay attention to. Because at any time we have any concerns or problems regarding the dispensary, the mayor can pull the license. He can revoke it at any time. It will be reviewed for the next 3 years annually. So, and I did attend the meeting with the lawyer and the two businesses that are across the street. So I did hear them trying to work out the concerns that they had. So I felt comfortable and left the meeting because they seemed to be working out the issues. So at this time, I certainly ask for a favorable report with suspension of the rules.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hope, Kamer, Key, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Thank you. Councilman Mobian, what's your pleasure on the rest of the agenda?
The next two items for public hearings next Monday, that's item 4 and 5. Number 6, we are also asking for a favorable report, and we're asking for suspension of the rules for number 6.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
And just so you know that we're not asking for egress at this time. This is the Signet project where they are expanding their parking lot, and at this particular time, they're only concentrating on the parking lot. They are not looking at the egress, and they have asked for an independent study of the traffic there. And I think Mrs. Keith and Mr. James Hardy met with the citizens last Friday, and that is my understanding. Mrs. Keith, would you like to add anything to that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is pretty accurate, because what we're asking for is in the 2019 capital budget that we have an independent group come in to do a traffic study, because the issue was on the egress and the ingress of going out onto Smith Road. A lot of development has taken place on Smith Road. So we are asking that it be an independent that isn't actively involved in anything there, and that it would come back to us here on council before it was approved for the drive. Thank you.
Are there any other comments, Madam Chair?
Thank you so much. The committee's report is favorable. The rules have been suspended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilman Mobian?
I think we are continuing to take time on 7 and 8.
Okay, time will be granted on 7 and 8.
And 9, we're asking for suspension of the rules and a favorable report.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This is the project that was addressed last week. And this is the marijuana cultivation and processing site that was discussed. I think Councilman Kilby had some concerns, but he's addressed those, and he is comfortable with that. Mr. Kilby, did you have anything else you'd like to say? Okay.
Okay, thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilman Mobian?
I think it's time on the balance of the report.
Okay, time will be granted. Okay, we also have another public hearing on tonight. I'm going to ask if there's anyone here in the audience that is here to speak on gas aggregation. We're going to ask that you please stand at this time so that you can be sworn in by our law department. Anyone here to speak on gas aggregation?
Do you swear or affirm, if you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Say, I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. This was offered by Sample. Ordinance authorizes the mayor or his designee to adopt the Natural Gas Aggregation Program Plan of Operation and Governance, and enter into agreements required for services related to the Natural Gas Aggregation Program and declare an emergency.
Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here to speak in favor? Very good. Just going to ask if you will please give us your name and your address.
Yes, good evening. Tom Bellish, 66 East Mill Street in Akron. I'm with Buckeye Energy Brokers, and we'd like to, our proposal is to administer the natural gas program for the city. So tonight's hearing is about the plan of operation and how the program will operate going forward, how residents can leave the program or get into the program. So basically there's about 60,000 households throughout the city that this program could affect, and about 30% are with Dominion right now and have not yet selected another supplier. So there's a large portion of the residents who can save a lot of money through the program. What we plan on doing is sending out a request for proposal to the natural gas suppliers that are certified, and when we get those bids, we would make a recommendation to the city, and then letters would be mailed just to City of Akron residents who are eligible for the program, meaning they're not under contract with any supplier and not in the percentage of income payment plan. So this will benefit residents who have been assigned to the Dominion Market Variable Plan. So residents who are under contract will not automatically get a letter, but they can opt in and still join the program by calling the selected supplier. After approval of this legislation, the city can file for certification with the Public Utilities Commission, and that takes 30 days to mature, and then we can start negotiating with suppliers after that. So I would estimate the program could begin in May, or could begin in February or March. So I can take any questions from council, if there's any.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in the audience to speak against? Anyone here in the audience to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close this public hearing. Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to poll the committee for a favorable report and ask for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Okay. We just asked for passage, so I guess I just poll the committee. Kilby? Aye. Swirsky?
Aye.
Hoke? Aye. Freeman? Aye. We ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hope, Kamer, Key, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Abovian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilwoman Samples, your pleasure on item number 2.
Again, number 2 relates to number 1, so again, if I could poll the committee for a favorable report and suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Okay. Kilby? Aye. Swirsky? Aye. Hoke? Aye. Freeman? Aye. Thank you.
The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Abovian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilwoman Amobian.
Unfortunately, I was not here last week. and I'm assuming that there was a wonderful discussion about all of this. And it sounds like those of us who have not chosen a provider will be opted in, and we have to opt out if we, is that how this works? Is there going to be a 101 around the city to talk about this? Because it sounds like if you haven't selected one, that you're going to...
We'll let Mr. Smith answer that for us, okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Could I have the question again? What? Okay, I can explain it. Oh, hopefully I can. Hi, okay. My name is Thomas Smith. I work for the City of Akron as the Public Utilities Commissioner. I work at 2460 Akron Peninsula Road, which is the Akron Water Reclamation Facility. In regards to this program, we interviewed 2 people. We preferred working with Buckeye Energy. How the program works is we will pick a provider and they will go out and get pricing. They will price out different options and present them to the city for the cheapest option for buying gas for different time frames. We will then choose as a committee which cost program is most cost effective. If we feel at the time that those pricing wasn't competitive and wasn't good for the citizen, we can then ask the provider to go back and reprice it or change the terms and conditions of the contracts. At that point, we will then roll that program out by public notifications to citizens, and they will receive a card. Everybody will be in the program unless they have a current gas supplier. Okay, if they get the card and they feel that they could do better by themselves, then they simply opt out and send it back in, which means, no, I do not want to be in the program. I want to do it on my own and shop by myself. After that period, Dominion will send the same thing out. The gas supplier, because they're the regulated side getting the gas to the house, it's a second chance for people to confirm that they want to be out. After that, everybody that didn't have a provider is in the terms and conditions of the contract. Most gas suppliers require a penalty if you pull out of the terms and conditions of the contract, whether it's 1 year or 3 years. Our program will not have a penalty if you so desire to go back out. Does that answer your question?
Yes. I'm sure that those people who don't understand all of this, because I get all these notifications from me, and
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. We're now going to move into our new business. Rules.
Item number 1, offered by Mayor Horrigan. Resolution approving and confirming the reappointments by Mayor Horrigan of Gina K. Maddox as a member of the Akron Civil Rights Commission, approving and confirming the reappointment by Mayor Horrigan of John Alvarez Turner as an alternate member of the Akron Civil Rights Commission, declaring emergency.
Councilman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee met today on this, and our position is consent agenda, please.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay. Item number 2, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing issuance of a bond of the city in a principal amount not to exceed $8,500,000 for the sale of water pollution control loan fund of the state of Ohio to finance the cost of improvements to the city's wastewater system, pledging certain revenues from the city's wastewater system on a subordinated basis to secure the payment of the principal of and the interest on the bond, authorizing the execution and delivery of the bond, the trust agreement, and other documents, and taking other actions related to the issuance and sale of the bond, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Consent.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 3, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the issuance of bond of the city in a principal amount not to exceed $3,500,000 for the sale of the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund of the State of Ohio to finance the cost of the improvements to the city's wastewater system, pledging certain revenues from the city's wastewater system on a subordinated basis to secure the payment of the principal of and the interest on the bond, and authorizing the execution and delivery of the bond and the trust agreement and other documents, and taking of other actions related to the issuance and sale of the bond and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Consent.
This item will be placed in the consent agenda.
Item number 4, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the issuance of a bond of the city in a principal amount not to exceed $3,500,000 for the sale of a water pollution loan fund, control loan fund of the state of Ohio to finance the cost of improvements to the city's wastewater system, pledging certain revenues from the city's wastewater system on a subordinated basis to secure the payment of the principal of and the interest on the bond, and authorizing the execution and delivery of the bond, the trust agreement, and other documents, and taking of other actions related to the issuance and sale of the bond and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Consent.
This item will be placed in the consent agenda.
Item number 5 was pulled. Let's see here. Might be attached to this one. There we go. There's item number 6. Item number 6 was attached to number 5. Item number 6, offered by Samples. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent without the formality of publicly advertising for bids to purchase up to 30 Lenovo mobile tablet personnel computers with operating software and the maintenance and protection plans from the Lenovo government for use by the water distribution field personnel, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Samples.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee requests consent.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay, item number 7, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee without the formality of publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract with Akron Enterprises for the purchase of an interview cameras and related equipment, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This is just to replace some aging and outdated equipment over at the police station with cameras. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman. Hope. Kamer. Keith. Kilby. Milkovich. Neal. Amobian. Samples. Sims. Somerville. Swirsky. Item number 8, offered by Councilman Neal. Ordinance amending and or supplementing Title 9, Chapter 92, Animals, Section 92.99 of the Akron Codified Ordinances, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is timed, please.
Time will be granted.
That's it.
We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we do refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to this council during this time, we're going to ask that you approach the podium, that you please sign in, that you state your full name, spell your last name, and give us your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting, so remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from council chambers.
Evening, Madam Chair Lady. My name is Emmanuel Bay, and I'm with the 380 Bailey Court. But I did come down for a different matter. Mr. Somerville, and it's directed to Councilman Kilby and Zachary and Dara Sample. This is Roger McLean of Parliament City Records, and he has played with some of the blues legends that came out of Akron, Ohio. and he has some things that he wanted to share with you.
Hi, Council. My name is Roger McLean, and I'm with Polymer City Records, and we have a recording studio in North Akron on Portage Trail Extension West, 730 Portage Trail Extension West. And we are involved in music and talent production, and also live streaming that we're trying to get on the internet. And I wanted to stop here today because I'm going to be involved in a program out at the All-American Soapbox Derby Downs on October 13th. And I'm there with Claude DeBoard and the DeBoard Halloween Party Festival, and we will be performing all day long. The festival is at the Soapbox Derby Downs from 12 noon till 9 p.m. at night, and we're going to feature a lot of local talent and people, and we would like to invite everyone to come out there. It's a free festival, and so I'm very glad to be here tonight and look forward to meeting some of the council members and discussing some of our plans for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Joy Wilson. I am from Akron, born and raised. I also have a tax business and also a financial service business in the area. My address, is it okay if I use a P.O. box?
That's fine.
Okay, P.O. Box 22010, Akron, Ohio 44302. I was here to just give, I guess, my testimony on an event that happened in July 13th of this prior year. I know there's a lot of talk in the community about a local business on the west side of Akron, Open Pantry or Mr. Pantry, as we all know of it. And I just came in to kind of give some information on my experience. On July 13th, I was driving down the street with my children in the vehicle, and I saw a group of young men running, and you see kids running all the time. You think they're just playing around or whatever, but shortly after that, within seconds, there was a series of gunfire. Well, of course, driving down the street, you hear gunfire. I accelerated and sped up to try to get away from the gunfire, and one of those bullets actually hit the back of my vehicle. Now, for me, being a mother, of course we are always concerned about our own safety, but it's a different level of safety or a different level of concern when it involves our children. I have two 14-year-olds that were actually going to attend the local high school in that area that I'm a graduate of, Boothville High School, and I had to change that because I knew that they would have to catch the bus every day. And standing on that corner to have to catch the bus just was not worth the risk to me. 2 days after that, 3 people were shot on that same corner, right on the corner of Store and Copley Road. One young man who was 15 died. For me, that's serious. And it's not the first thing, and I'm sure it's not the last thing to happen on that corner. There's been many murders on that corner. There's been many illegal activity on that corner. Some of it I've witnessed personally. I was a student that lived on the north side and went to the schools on the west side. I'm well aware of the community. I love the community. But I have not been on Copley Road since. I have avoided it at all costs. It is very traumatic when you're driving down the street in a series of gunfire. And to know that that bullet hole was in the back of my car right behind where my son was sitting it took everything out of me. So I'm not saying this with any ask or question for resolve, but just that something needs to be done. I don't have a solution. I wish I did. But just to let you know how serious it is for me, it's very traumatic to be driving down the street, minding your business, and trying to raise your children, right, and then they could have still lost their lives. If I had not sped up, that bullet hole could have hit the side of my vehicle versus the back of my vehicle. And if anybody would like to see it, that hole is still in the back of my vehicle, because that's a $500 deductible for me to fix. So until then, thank you.
Ms. Wilson, thank you so much for coming down and sharing.
Yes, my name is Russell Darcy, and I am the president of the Summit County Hall of Fame Boxing Association, and I am here tonight to give you a personal invitation to the mayor and council to come out and enjoy our 18th induction ceremony on October the 7th of this year, and that's all I'm here for.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dorsey.
It will be at 501 Kelly Avenue, right across from Joy Park at the Steelworkers Credit Union, and I have tickets here to get us someone to disperse them.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period?
My name is Harrington Hargrove, 1008 Laurel Avenue, Ward 3. I had a phone call today. I trying to open up business on Thornton Street. We're under a hub zone and empowerment zone. That means we've been neglected. I've asked council for 35 years to invest in Ward 3, 35 years. And in 35 years, there's nothing being done for the black community. If you go, I would like council to ride through Ward 3, the empowerment zone and the hub zone that they declared, and see the condition of our community. I really want y'all to see it. 35 years of de-investment when it comes to revitalization or anything like that. When it comes to the black community, we're not a part of it in Ward 3. Ride by. I got a call from my friend Marco Somerville today, and he told me my project do not qualify, or evidently this council has voted my project down. It's not even worthy of a box of nails. I'm talking about creating 20 jobs on Thornton Street in a 2-year period as a developer. And as a developer, I've been redlined and discriminated. Not only have I been redlined and discriminated, the entire Ward 3 has been. Ride by there and see it. Nobody takes my word for it. Like I say, I've asked for this council to invest in the black community, and it's been no. My councilwoman, head of president of city council, she knows it. Marco Somerville, he knows it. Mr. Neal, he knows it. Anybody has a conscience, they can see the black community, but they refuse to. And I'm in contact with HUD to look into the city of Akron and what they've been doing under Section 3 of HUD. I've asked this council to research Section 3 of HUD. 1, bright, 2, affordable housing, and 3, to uplift the community. There has no been uplifting in Ward 3 when it comes to economic development. And my question to the council is why? And who in this council has voted against my project? I would like for y'all to raise your hand.
Mr. Hargrove, I'm going to ask if you can please have a seat at this time. Thank you so much.
Hello. I'm Shawnee Richards, 380 Robert Street. Okay, so I'm invested in the black community, or in the Akron community in general. I'm an artist, and I'm a volunteer at the Womb Community Center on 915 East Market Street. So as I said, I'm an artist, and I'm doing an installation, my first attempt to do something with the community, work with the community, and it's titled Home Sweet Home. So I'm asking the community to donate clothing and fabric materials from family and friends impacted by drugs and mass incarceration. The materials will be used to craft a message of Home Sweet Home. The installation will be at the Loon Community Garden, which is technically on 888 East Market Street, which is across the street from the Loon Community Center. I'm also doing art and food in the garden. It's a Joy of Voting event. So we have the Akron Growing Chefs, a cooking class for children 9 to 14. They'll be cooking during the event. And there'll also be a Joy of Voting event where it's family friendly, and there'll be art and crafting activities for the whole family to enjoy, so we can be educated on the importance of voting and community action. So that will be on Sunday, the art and food in the garden. It will be on Sunday, September 30th, and it's 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I hope you all can participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Richards.
Good evening, Madam President and council members. My name is Rick Zoller. I reside at the Woods of Fairlawn, which is in Akron. It's in Ward 4. It's across the street from Whole Foods. I'm here to share some major concerns about what's going on there and what's not going on there, shared by other tenants besides myself. The property manager has no integrity. There's been illegal entries. Repairs are not done or not done correctly. Rudeness is portrayed by a couple of the maintenance personnel, and most importantly, in several units that I know of, and I'm sure there's more, there's mold present. I have several police reports of illegal entries. As an example of repairs, when I moved in, I was given a key to the back door to make sure that it was locked. A couple days later, I went to use it. There was no lock. When I made the report, it took them 4 weeks to do that, and another 4 weeks to secure the front door. There was a water leak in my bathroom, and it's taken them 9 tries to try and fix it. They still haven't done it, and that's a cause for mold. I went to neighborhood assistance. They came out and they wrote them up for my countertop in the kitchen, which has paint on it, to have that replaced. They have an air test done in the bathroom for the mold, and to fix a light fixture. That was done on August 20th. Tomorrow's the deadline. They haven't done anything. This is my report from neighborhood assistance. This is the one that's even bigger from the guy below me, how they haven't repaired anything in his apartment, and they told him they cannot fix the water leak. We are trying to find out what we can do to resolve this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping that there is someone here in the chambers that would be willing to meet with him after. Mr. John Valley is willing to, sir, so after the meeting.
Hi, my name is Theola Anderson, Anderson. I live at 1269 Laffer Avenue. I came here today because I seen on TV about the marijuana thing. I'm not neither for or against it. My problem is that we already have a drug problem in this city of Akron. We have problems where wherever they're getting it from, the meth, but they're sending our black boys to jail, and the people that's on drug is getting treatments, getting shots 4 or 5 times, when older people can't even get insulin. But it's an epidemic now, but when crack was out, it wasn't no epidemic. And my problem is that first let's solve the drug problem we have before we bring another drug thing, legal or illegal, because it was legal when the doctors was passing it out to them, and now it's going to be legal marijuana, and I kind of feel for both, because I know people that are sick that you know, maybe have cancer might need the marijuana. But we have bigger problems than that. And with that, I'll do.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson.
Good evening again. My name is Sheila Smith. I'm at 696 Greenwood Avenue. I'm here this time to talk on behalf of your public safety, item number 8, ordinance amending and supplementing Title 9, Chapter 92 of Animal, Section 92.99. And I'm here on behalf of our community, our block club. I am the precinct committee person for 4B. And just, I want you to hear me, I'm not a dog hater. I'd have a dog, but I'm allergic to them. But we have been dealing with barking dog for almost 2 years. Thankfully, to Councilman Neal, our community officers, the mayor's office, Mr. Hardy, we were able to get some movement on this issue. But I'm just saying what we need to do here is every time I would call someone to talk about the ordinance, there was always this statement, there's no teeth in the ordinance. There's no consequence in the ordinance. So we had to deal with barking dogs 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, and they're telling us they got to bark 20 minutes before it's an issue. My neighbor back here has a 91-year-old mother with Alzheimer's. That dog barks at 1:30 in the morning. That first bark wakes her up, and it's hard to get her back to sleep. So I'm saying I'm glad that you're looking at this ordinance because we have been living with a disrupted neighborhood all times of night, and the person seeming as though he was untouchable. But I would like to see this ordinance revised so that we can have some resolution in our community, not only with the barking, but the smell of dog urine and dog feces and 90-degree temperatures is not good. So I'm hoping we'll take into consideration the residents of the city of Akron. They're having to live next to people with multiple dogs. Like I said, I love dogs, but I don't want to smell them, and I don't want to hear them at 1:30, 2:30 in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith.
Good evening. My name is Lakeisha Neal. I already signed in, Neal. I live in a residence of 871 Sheridan Street, and I just want to say thank you, because the last time I was here, I was dealing with a drain from HomeServe, the public utility water company a warranty, and they didn't want to fix it. And last time I was here, within 4 days that week, I came on a Monday, within 4 days, it was fixed. I had no problems. They were on it. They apologized for the inconvenience. And I just want to say thank you, Councilwoman Somerville, for that. I really appreciate it. And then I also want to say that I'm learning how to be a community partner. So I would like to be more involved in that area because it is some concerns that I have. I'm overly concerned over just our community in general and want to know how can I be a help. And there is one suggestion that I had made a while ago at a town meeting about the curfews. Because I remember curfews, we had curfews. Are those still able to be enforced? And if so, can we consider it? Because there's one section in that area that Jody was talking about. I'm sorry, wasn't Jody? I'm sorry, Joy was talking about in that area. My aunt lived on that street, Noah, right on the corner from there. There is, I rolled through there. I promise you, I felt like, I don't know, I was in a movie in Compton, California. And I'm like, where is this? It's on the corner of Noah Avenue, and I think that's Peckham. They stand out there. And I believe that's maybe one area that's a problem there. So just want to enforce that curfew. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Neal.
Good evening, council and neighbors. My name is Nikki Sutcliffe, Sutcliffe. I live at 424 Merriman Road, and I'm here tonight on behalf of some organizers that have gotten together, and also the Akron DSA, which is Democratic Socialists of America. I'm the co-chair for that organization. We would like to invite all council members to an event that we are putting together this coming Sunday. It will be at Hardesty Park at 1 p.m. It's really just a community forum. We would like to pass knowledge on to the greater community about what has happened with the decisions over the homeless charity and sex Second Chance Village. And I know that there's always, I hate to say two sides because that's just how the world is. I don't like that, but there's always two different sides of every story. And I would like very much to invite each and every one of you out to enlighten the community a little more thoroughly on the council's decision regarding the homeless charity in Second Chance Village. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sutcliffe.
Good evening, council members, Madam President. My name is Sean Cooper. I live in Ward 10 on Dellenberger Avenue. I'm not running for any type of political office. I don't pull any political stunts, and I'm not here in place of any other person or entity. I'm a private citizen like everyone else here, and I want my community to thrive. I feel it is my only opportunity as a citizen to speak freely and receive help from my community, as we don't get answers or substance at our ward meetings, only lip service and bad-mouthing of other representatives. I also find it alarming when elected officials use their position to slander law-abiding citizens like myself, and for elected officials to use misinformation to undermine my First Amendment right to speak here in front of you all at council. Hindering free speech, as we know, of the citizens is a detriment to our democracy. I'm only requesting adequate representation for the betterment of my community so that it will continue to grow. I also don't appreciate when council members email insinuations comparing me to dangerous individuals like the ones we see on the nightly news. I have not been arrested. I have not been charged with any crimes. I don't have a record. I do not incite nor approve of any violent behavior or bullying. I know this may be difficult to hear about your colleagues, but I have the right to speak and a right to fair representation in my community as a taxpayer. I hope you will take this into advisement so that we can move forward to make our community safer and stronger and make this the all-American city that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Good evening. My name is Christina Lunnan. I live at 1596 Malaysia Road. I am a tax-paying resident of Ward 10. I am also the director of Goodyear Heights Community Action Group and a founding member of the new Goodyear Heights Neighborhood Watch program. I'm actually here to follow up with comments that Sean Cooper has made and how our Ward 10 meetings have been being run. Our group has tried repeatedly to ask for a change in format which would allow for a participatory format, giving a Q&A session during our Ward 10 meetings, which are currently not being allowed. I have made several phone calls, sent several letters, including to this body, requesting that, and I have not received any replies. I was told by our councilman that I should come down here and talk, so here I am. Crime, infrastructure, and lack of viable business are all top concerns to our residents and issues that have been submitted to our councilman repeatedly as a result of our online polls. To combat the rising crime issue, we've chosen to reinstitute that block watch program in a whole new format to try and make our neighborhood a safer place to live, and knowing that we will not get any new business in our area until we get that crime problem under control. For the record, I'd like to thank John Valley of Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman-at-Large Jeff Fusco, and Officer Jim Ledbetter for all their help and support and help getting our neighborhood watch back up and running. With that being said, my reason for standing here for you today is as follows. Ward 10 would like Ward 10 meetings to be participatory rather than informational. Our folks have valid concerns about crime and business and what's going to happen to their ward going forward. They deserve to be heard. They deserve an answer. They also deserve to give their suggestions on how to fix the issues. Since standard requests for change have not worked, I am forced to submit my request here. I understand an email had been sent out last week regarding actions that occurred at the last Ward 10 meeting. The implication was that City Council is above reproach and reprimand by the citizens who voted council into office and pay council salaries. If that is the stance, I'm curious as to who you guys think can reprimand you. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, who Mr. Cooper works for. The insinuation was that since he is a county worker, he has no right to speak. But he pays taxes and he's got the right to representation, and he has a voice when things are not being done, when he lives here and has an investment in his home. To the incident that occurred at the last ward meeting, I do not believe it was suitable or fitting for an email to have been sent out detailing an incident that was not witnessed by the individual who sent out that email. Anything said on the matter is hearsay only and biased. To imply that the incident was in any way similar to the tragedy that happened to Gabby Giffords is absurd and inflammatory. I was there, and while a shouting match did indeed ensue, it is a direct consequence of the level of frustration our citizens are suffering in direct correlation to our lack of adequate representation. Ward 10 needs help and needs a Ward 10 meeting they can speak freely at with their councilman. No one likes being talked at, and that's all that's being accomplished at our meetings. Anger and frustration will continue to grow, and Ward 10 will speak with their votes at the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lawner. We're just going to make sure we maintain order in council chambers. Thank you so much. Yes.
Good evening, council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am Carla with a K. My last name is Maple like a tree, M-A-P-L-E. I grew up in Ward 6 under Robert Otterman. He taught me to be involved. Later in my career, Al Claiborne Sr. taught me, you want it solved, get involved. As senior management for Al Claiborne, I was taught budgets. I managed his payroll, his business. I understand we all work with budgets. I'm here to plead with you from Ward 10 to see my face. I'm an average, single, working American. I was pulling some statistics today as I've transitioned into ministry and senior care. And in 2016, the median income for the city of Akron was $51,598. I could not pull the current median price from the same source, but we were below the Ohio median income. As you are giving of your time looking at our budgets, increasing our taxes, trying to fix our sewer systems, and thank you, we're thrilled B&W is moving into East Akron. Please remember, we work hard for our dollars. We're good stewards of our time. We're proud of our integrity. I also live right on Eastland Avenue, working at trying to improve my home so that we can be proud of Akron again. Help us, hear us, and thank you for working for us.
Thank you, Mrs. Maple.
Hello, my name is Heidi Miller, and I am a resident of Ward 10, and I'm also a founding member of the Goodyear Heights Community Action Group, as well as the Goodyear Heights Neighborhood Watch, along with Chris Lonan and several others. First, I'd like to thank Councilman Jeff Fusco, John Valley, and Officer Ledbetter for helping us with Neighborhood Watch program, as well as some of our other concerns regarding crime, infrastructure, abandoned houses, and business growth. Second, I want Ward 10 council meetings to be about the issues and how to solve them. Sorry, I have a little, new ideas and ways to implement them. I have asked Mr. Milkovich to change the ward meetings to something like this instead of informational, and have gotten no answer. If Goodyear Heights Community Action Group has to take this into our own hands and have our own council meeting, then we will. If we have to come to every city council meeting to give Ward 10 a voice, then we will. We no longer want to be a community of quickie marts, vape shops, and burner phone stores. We want real, sustainable business in the way of grocery stores, coffee shops, bakeries, and restaurants. Ward 10 meetings can't continue to be informational only, nor can our councilmen continue to not listen to us. We just won't tolerate it. Third, in regards to the Ms. Staples email that came out, the position, I do agree with Chris Lonan on that. And I'd like to say that she did not have a right to talk about something that she did not witness. The email she sent felt like posturing and fear-mongering. I think we can all agree that Sean Cooper and DJ Luciano do not exhibit such violent notions as was intimated in that email. With that being said, if there are any groups in Ward 10 that want to hook up with
I'm going to
Goodyear
ask
Heights,
that you please direct your comments to me, okay, not the audience.
got it. If there's anybody that wants to hook up with Goodyear Heights Community Action Group, you're more than welcome to join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Miller. Anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period?
name is Steve Nome, N-O-M-E, live at 1928 6th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. And I'm here again to talk about retiree insurance. Roughly 14 years ago, the Housing Appeals Board ordered the demolition of a residential structure in East Akron because it was uninhabitable and eyesore of blighting influence. And after the demolition order, the owner began to work on the property in earnest. Approximately 85% done, he filed an action in court to try to save the property, even though the house was no longer an eyesore and actually improved the neighborhood. The Health Department administration felt that allowing the structure to remain would tell the community that the Housing Division was soft on code enforcement. A Cleveland TV station came down and questioned the mayor about the demolition. Because the mayor had no involvement with the decision and had limited knowledge of the details, it put him in I think, an unfair and embarrassing situation. Now, it initially struck me that the mayor and council might end up in a similar position with the retiree spouse insurance coverage. When the city tried to implement a new policy in the fall of 2016, which would require spouses to have Oprah's insurance coverage as a prerequisite for obtaining city coverage, I immediately went to council to protest, since this prerequisite had not been brought up in the earlier discussion about charging retirees that took place before council. Now, the next day I was told it would not be a requirement for 2017, which suggested to me that the Department of Human Resources had been less than honest in revealing their total plan. Now, when retirees were notified last fall that the spouses would no longer be eligible for city insurance coverage at $30 a month unless they had Oprah's coverage first, $1,159 a month, I suspected that this was again another attempt by the Department of Human Resources to implement their plan without the full knowledge of mayor and council. But when I returned last fall to alert council about the unrealistic cost increase, it became apparent that the mayor and at least some of the council members were fully aware that they were placing a severe financial burden on a relatively small number of retirees in an attempt to save money. The fact that the city did not know how much money they would be saving suggests that that action was for show rather than a meaningful savings to the city finance. The lawsuit filed last December, appears to be moving at a snail's pace. City's attempt to throw out the arbitrator's decision is also moving slowly, but the retirees and spouses under the age of 65 are still feeling the burden of the city's ill-thought insurance plan. And the law department says you can't openly just do anything about the problem while the court actions are pending. But the court action will eventually come to an end, and I'm hopeful that you are already thinking about a fair and realistic solution to this very real problem.
Thank you, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period? Seeing none, we will close our public comment period and move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilwoman Keith. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Planning, Councilman Amobian. Public Service, Councilman Keith. Public Utilities, Councilman Samples. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal. Housing, Councilman Kilby. Health and Social Services, Councilman Amobian. Economic Development, Councilman Sims. Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky. Is there anything else coming before council? Councilman Sims?
So I just wanted to say, I always love when we have a full chambers. It's always wonderful to hear our community come out and share their thoughts and ideas and concerns. So I really appreciate that. But I want to know, there's several people that was here today that didn't really understand about council meeting at 7 p.m. on Mondays. We do have committee meetings, so if you want to really learn more and hear conversations around legislation, I would encourage you to come. We meet sometimes at 1 o'clock, but typically it starts at 1:30 and we get out of here about 4. So those committees are open to the public to come down and hear those as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sims. Anything else coming before council? If not, do we have a motion to excuse Councilman Fusco? Your second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment.
Seeing no objections, we are adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presents.